welcome to the webinar this morning. I'll just give it a couple of minutes just in case there are still people joining, and then we'll get started. And yeah, welcome from wherever you are joining from. In the chat, if you don't mind just putting in a little bit of information, it'd be good to know just where you're tuning in from, and also like why do you think that customers are paying their invoices late in your business. We'll refer to these comments a little bit later, but it's also just good to know where everyone is. And I think in that case, we can get started with some introductions as well. So my name is Charlotte Gill, and I'm the head of product at Chaser. I've spent 4 years researching and building solutions to help businesses get paid for their work on time. And I've also focused on researching and developing AI solutions to help businesses proactively tackle their debtor management problems. And today I'm joined by Dean.
Hi there, my name is Dean Norris. I am the integration engineer at Chaser. I have a background in software development, and I have worked at Chaser for the past 4 years. My main area of expertise is understanding how businesses and accountants use accounting systems so that I'm able to better engineer and build outstanding accounts receivable integrations for Chaser.
Brilliant, thanks Dean. So yeah, just a reminder, pop in the chat just where you're tuning in from and why you think customers pay your invoices late. Also, we will be doing a Q&A at the end of this session. So throughout the session, if you do have any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat or the Q&A box, and we'll refer to those a little bit later. But just to kick things off, I'm presenting from Birmingham in the UK, and Dean is tuning in from South Africa. From our end, we see that most of our late payments are occurring due to queries or disputes on the invoices in particular. But yeah, please let us know over the next few minutes, and we'll read some of your answers out.
I see, Charlotte, we've got quite a few people already. We've got Cindy from South Dakota. We've got Sarah from the UK, Amaya from London, Brianna from New York. Welcome, everyone.
Nice. Welcome, everyone. I'm looking forward to taking you through. We've got a lot of strategies to go through today, so definitely a lot for you to learn. So in the meantime, I'll do a quick introduction of Chaser. So Chaser is a software that lets businesses use AI and automation to handle every step of the credit management process, all the way from credit checks to managing your debtor ledger and also debt collections. Chaser is designed to help businesses protect their revenue and also bring in revenue faster without requiring any time or effort. Essentially, we provide an end-to-end accounts receivable management software. So we work alongside Business Central users to ensure that the Chaser system connects to synchronize perfectly with the data from Business Central, and to help Business Central users reduce late payments without any manual work. We are a proud partner of the Dynamics user group. On my screen now, you can see how Chaser lets Business Central users use AI and automation to handle every step of the receivables process, apart from the credit decisions. Chaser has supported thousands of businesses around the world since 2014, and we've successfully helped them recover $39 billion in late payments automatically. We work to let businesses automate their processes, but without losing the human touch with debtors. And then also the ability to personalize and make automated interactions look human. This is all baked in the Chaser software. All of this functionality is seamlessly integrated with the data from your Business Central account, and we can ensure that you're always working with the most up-to-date debtor information, and this can help you minimize your manual work. If you'd like to find out more, visit chaserhq.com. So Dean, if you want to just go through if there's anything else in the chat box that you wanted to read out, where people are from, and if anyone's notes around their late payments in general.
Fantastic, yeah. We've got a few comments here. Maya said some late payments for our customers just say, sorry, I'm trying to read it. Some late payments for our customers just say that they never received our invoice, although we had sent it. Cindy wrote here, late payments from our customers are the result of a few things. Some say that they didn't receive the invoices, some have service concerns, while others may have cash flow issues within their business. So classic scenario that we hear often, time and time again. we didn't get it. We didn't get the email. Kind of just delayed it a bit more.
Yeah, definitely. And we hear these a lot, and a lot of what we've built into Chaser software is to kind of help with these concerns. So in terms of not receiving the invoice, so in Chaser, you can always attach the invoice to your emails so that they will get that, they'll get the most up-to-date invoice copy. Also from a payment portal perspective, which I'll come back to a little bit later in this session, with that, they can see all of their invoices, what's been paid, what's outstanding. So that can be one of the things that can help with disputes. But throughout the session, we're going to be sharing some practical strategies that will help you avoid these kind of key reasons for late payments. Before we go into the strategies, I just wanted to talk a little bit around why we should care about late payments. So the average payment window for businesses in North America is around 30 days, and research shows that businesses are regularly waiting around 50 days or more to receive a payment. And if we think about why this matters, flow matters to businesses of all sizes, and also late payments can cause a chain reaction for suppliers, employees, and other stakeholders as well. So if you don't have the money coming in, you might not be able to pay your suppliers or invest in the growth of your business. Research by Intuit shows that the average business in North America is owed around $300,000 in late payments, and that 89% of finance leaders believe that late payments are impacting their business's ability to grow. We've shared a lot of average statistics here, but I'm just interested in knowing from yourselves how long you typically wait for your customers to pay your invoices. So there should be a poll appearing on the screen. So please let us know your situation. And we'll give a couple of minutes just for those responses to come in. Ooh. And then, Dean, can you see those poll results?
Yes, I can. So so no one said before the invoice due date. 25% of you said less than a week after the due date, and 50% of you said 15 to 30 days after the due date, and 25% said 31 to 60 days after the due date.
Yeah, interesting. That's quite similar to what we normally hear, actually. So yeah. I think very clear that late payments are an issue with most businesses. A lot of businesses often receive payments after the due date. So this session, we only have around 45 minutes. So hopefully this short summary just helps to make it clear that, having a system to help get invoices paid on time is so important. Those numbers are quite high, and we can definitely help you reduce those numbers and help you definitely get paid faster. So attending this webinar is a very good step forward in helping your business's financial position. And with that being said, I'll get into our first strategy. So if your customers aren't paying you on time, then one method that you can implement in Business Central is something that we like to call a carrot and a stick approach. This encourages good payment behavior by rewarding it with the likes of early payment discounts, and then also discouraging late payments by using fees and penalties. If your business can afford it, early payment discounts can be an effective method to incentivize early payments from your customers. And when it comes to calculating an early payment discount, there's two primary options, which are a static and a dynamic discount. So a static discount is where you would offer, say, a set discount for an early payment, regardless of how quickly that invoice is paid. So if you have 30-day payment terms, you might give a discount of 10% if they pay before the invoice due date. Dynamic, on the other hand, is where you would basically change that discount based on how quickly the invoice is paid and give them a larger discount if it's paid sooner. This can encourage even quicker payments, as the discount is obviously larger the earlier they pay it. So for example, if you've got a high value invoice, you might want to offer like a 0.5 discount if the invoice is paid 2 weeks before the due date, and then reduce this to 0.25 if it's paid 1 week before the due date. When you use these kind of options strategically, then the early payment discounts can have a large positive impact on your business. Not only does it mean that you'll get your invoices paid faster, but there's also a benefit for the customer because you're offering them a discount and a reward for that good behavior that we want to encourage. The costs associated with the early payment discounts can also be offset by also having late payment penalties as well if you decide to implement the carrot and the stick.
But Charlotte, also just to say, sorry to dive in there, but with regards to incentivizing, like at Chaser, we actually do something really similar with our own customers. We offer them annual plans, which can provide a discount for loyalty and paying a year up front. So just go to show how even being a bit more creative with your product or service offering, you can incentivize customers to pay early and then at the same time boost your cash flow.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you're right there, Dean. Like different businesses can definitely implement kind of different types of discounts, and yeah, it's best to always have a think about what suits your business the most. But yeah, we find that the annual incentive is a good one on our side. But yeah, thanks for sharing that, Dean. So I'll move on to now how you can implement early payment discounts in Business Central. So you can add them by going to your payment terms administration, and then you can add a discount date calculation, and then you can select the percentage discount that you want to apply. We then have the next section is around late payment fees. So if you are considering implementing late payment fees, then you do need to make sure that you're notifying your customers in advance. You just want to make sure you're being very clear about what late payment fees you're going to be charging them. This is going to help avoid any disputes or further confusion later down the line. How much you charge will depend on the country which your business operates in. You can use our late payment fee calculator with an adjustable annual interest rate, and that will help you calculate what kind of fees you can charge your customer. The maximum interest that you can charge on a late payment will depend on your state. So we would always recommend checking your local jurisdiction about this before implementing any fees. But in most states, we find that 10% per year is typically a reasonable charge. In terms of late payment fees on overdue invoices, what you're trying to do here is trying to cover your costs and the time incurred from chasing payments. And it's really an effective way of discouraging late payments as well. So again, just encouraging people to make those payments earlier. And then in Business Central, if you wanted to implement the late fees, you can do this by going to finance charges and set up those in the administration section under the finance charge terms. Dynamics allows you to select from two types of finance charge calculations. The first is the average daily balance, which is on the screen, and then the second is the balance due. So the difference between these two is the average daily balance is where the number of days the payment has been overdue is taken into account, and the second option is where the finance charge is a percentage of the overdue amount.
So the second strategy is to onboard your customers effectively. So this starts right at the beginning of your AR process. The way that you onboard your customers is going to have a significant impact on your payment speeds and on your DSO. The first way we can foolproof our onboarding strategy is to have a credit policy. So firstly, make sure you are minimizing your future chances of late payments from the very beginning of your credit management process. We recommend optimizing or implementing a credit control policy. Your credit control policy is a set of regulations governing how you trade on credit terms. It lets your customers know your payment terms and acts as a guideline for your staff. So this means the way you deal with accounts receivable becomes more streamlined and cohesive across the business. And if you don't have a credit control policy yet, our experts have created a free credit control policy template, which you can use. You can see the QR code on the screen now, so feel free to scan that and save that link. Just give you a moment. Perfect. Next up, we have credit checks. So secondly, don't be shy about requiring credit checks. This is essentially your first line of defense when it comes to protecting your business from late payers and bad debts. Similar to a personal credit report, the credit check searches your potential customer's credit history and payment behavior, highlighting any red flags. We recommend this as a standard part of due diligence when onboarding new customers. In fact, Chaser found that businesses who use credit checks get paid an average of 5 days faster than those that don't. Next up, we have credit limits. So making sure you are offering an appropriate amount of credit to customers who are able and willing to make payments on time is like absolutely essential. It doesn't make much sense as well setting a credit limit without performing a credit check. Yet this is something we see often, companies setting blanket default credit limits for all of their customers, which obviously is a time saver, but really the two should actually go hand in hand. If you put in the work and perform credit checks to guide your credit limits at the start of your customer relationship, it's going to save you a significant amount of time and provide peace of mind in the long run, because credit limits will help make sure that you don't put your business at risk by granting too much credit to clients who may not pay. We have guidance on credit limits and establishing your business's risk level, which you can also access by the QR code on the screen that Charlotte is going to share now. So please feel free to scan that, take a screenshot, save it. I believe we may be sending these links out. Are we, Charlotte?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I would take a scan of the screen now if you're interested in.
Yeah, definitely the best way. So credit limits can also be adjusted for your debtors in Business Central. You can set a credit limit which lets you specify the maximum amount of credit to extend to your customers. If a credit limit is specified, it's checked automatically when a user attempts to update a document. If the credit limit is exceeded, a message is displayed to the user. So it's a great way to prevent your staff from extending credit when they shouldn't. So credit limits can be configured within the accounts receivables perimeter section of your Business Central account. Once enabled, you'll be able to set your customer specific credit limits. So in customers, you would go to edit, enter a credit limit, and then you'll be able to manually check credit limits on sales orders. So in sales orders, you would open an order and select check credit limit for a manual review. You can also configure credit limit alerts. So you can decide whether you want the credit limit to produce a warning, whether the user can continue, as mentioned previously, or an error which completely stops the process. The next big one, which I really do push, is contact information. So last but not least, when it comes to preventing late payments in your customer onboarding process, you must ensure that you're collecting the right contact information at the very beginning of the customer relationship, with regular checks obviously thereafter. So clean data is essential to a healthy accounts receivables process. So this can be outlined in your credit control policy. You need to ensure that you are chasing the right person for payments. So by getting the right accounts payables team contact information up front. So this could save you 2 weeks worth of wasted follow-ups. So we also recommend collecting contact details for at least 2 payment contacts up front. The regular payment contact, so this could be like the finance inbox, and an escalated recipient. So this would be like the finance manager. So someone who you can contact if the initial data is unresponsive. In Business Central, we often see in companies using a generic email address, so like that finance inbox in the address and contact section of the customer card inside of Business Central. This can sometimes be like your info at, your sales at address, and some customers really like to hide behind this email address and avoid, I think actually many of us do it. We do this to avoid our personal inboxes being flooded. So what we always recommend in Microsoft Dynamics, be sure to be using contact cards, which allow you to gather as much information about the individual point of contact at each organization. It's often wise to request the contact details of the individual or department who is directly responsible for making the payments. So make sure you have a contact card with this information associated with your customer card before proceeding to doing business. Strategy 3 is to be proactive and persistent. At Chaser, we have a saying, polite persistence pays. So taking a proactive approach will go a huge way to reducing late payments. In fact, the 2022 late payment report, it showed that follow up with 90% or more of their invoices, that businesses that follow up with 90% or more of their invoices each month are most likely to be paid within a week of the invoice due date. We've recently done some analysis at Chaser and have also found that the average number of follow-ups it takes to get paid is 2.6. So just sending one email follow-up to a customer is not going to cut it. So yeah, it's really important to be proactive and persistent when trying to reduce your late payments. What does proactive mean? So first up, you need to get into the mindset that your invoices are due from the day that they are issued. Giving a due date that is post the creation or posting date, it's effectively an extension of credit. So don't wait until it's past due date. It's the past due date to start chasing, and then only contact your customers once a payment is late. Notify customers when their payment deadline is approaching and follow up then periodically. Even before an invoice is due, email your customers with all the necessary information for payment. Ask them as well if they've received the invoice. Ask if they're aware of anything that may delay payment. There's an example on the screen now of how you can politely remind customers of their invoices before the due date and maximize your chance of timely payments. If you want more follow-up templates like this, scan the QR code on the screen to access a guide of 40 politely worded follow-up templates that will help you ensure a persistent but polite approach with your debtors. With Business Central and systems that integrate with Business Central, you can do this automatically. So this requires less work to take a more proactive approach to reducing late payments. In Business Central, sorry, Kevin asked if we could go back one slide. Sorry, Kevin, we moved on too quickly there.
No worries, there you go. I'll hang on this slide.
No problem, Kevin, we got you. There we go.
Good spot.
Excited to get into the meat of Business Central.
Yeah.
Perfect. I take it you got it, Kevin. Fantastic. So with Business Central and systems that integrate with Business Central, you can do this automatically. So it requires less work to take a more proactive approach to reducing your late payments. In Business Central, you can schedule reminders to your debtors before the invoice is due. And to do this, you can go to the reminders term section of your Business Central account. You can then set reminder levels for each customer. You can define rules like grace periods, interest, and fees for each level. And then in reminder terms, you can set the number of reminders for each customer code. So that's a really helpful tool. Then you can customize reminder texts and emails themselves. So you can add an email attachment text for each level, including placeholders for autofill values, percentages, total amount, any relevant values. And you can then also set up text in multiple languages as well as needed. You can then assign those terms to customers. So you would go to the customer card pages and link each customer to the relevant reminder terms.
Brilliant. Thank you, Dean. So it'd be good to hear again from the audience. We do have another poll that should be popping on the screen shortly. So this time we're interested in understanding how you're actually reaching out to your customers about their late invoices. Are you using email? Are you using a different approach? Please let us know in the poll. Can you see that one pop up, Dean?
Yep, I am just checking to see if there's any more responses. Yeah, so I think that's everyone. So we have 67% of people said via email, and then we have 33% of people said via phone call. So a lot of channels that aren't actually currently being used.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, email.
I see it's actually changing at the moment. I see it's actually updated. Sorry, I've just noticed. We have 71% now who have said via email. We have one person, so 14%, I guess, in total have said via phone call. And then we've also said 14% via posted letter, but majority still stands as email.
Nice. Yeah, thanks for sharing that update, Dean. So our next strategy is actually going to be just about that. So it's going to be around using multiple follow-up channels. So we always recommend don't just stick to email reminders. Email reminders are great, but with the technology available today, you can send payment reminders via a number of different channels to reach your debtors more effectively and help get your invoices paid sooner. So here's some examples of some follow-up methods that you can use. So the first one I'll talk about is SMS. So I don't know in terms of everyone on the call if you knew, but the average open rate for an email is around 25%. However, for an SMS text message, then it's actually around 98%. So people are way more likely to see an SMS. I think a lot of people these days have their phone very close to them wherever they are. So supplementing your email payment reminders with SMS follow-ups, it can help you reach out to your customers when they're on the go and then increase the chance of getting a payment. The contact card data within your business central account can help you point you in the right direction for the correct information to send an SMS. So we'd always recommend where it's appropriate for your business. I know not every business this would work, but try in your sales process to get your customers' mobile numbers so that later down the line, if you're having issues with invoices, you'll have them saved in your business central account, and then you can use methods like SMS and auto calls, which we'll come to a little bit later. But from using SMS follow-ups, we've seen that customers using Chaser that start implementing SMS can get paid an average of 7 days faster. So it's kind of a very small change in your process that can deliver really good results. We then have letters, which it was really good to hear that some people on the call are already using letters. Research shows that 90% of letters actually do get opened. So this is a good way of ensuring that your debtors do see your payment reminders and help reduce your late payments. So supplement, again, email is great. We don't recommend stopping using email. We just recommend supplementing it and also having some letters going out as well. With technology, modern technology these days, these postal letters can even include a QR code. So with Chaser, for example, this is a link to our payment portal. So they get the letter in the post, they scan the QR code, and then they can go to the payment portal and they can make their payment. So we like to make sure that that whole payment process is as easy as possible. If they get a reminder, they know where to go and they know what to do from that point. Although letters are extremely effective, we know obviously that writing and posting letters is really time consuming. So this is why third parties like Chaser let you schedule automated and personalized reminders via letter. And then you'll essentially pick the dates and the times that those letters get sent. So if you want to increase the urgency, I think letters is a really good method for that, and typically something that people might use when invoices become a little bit more overdue, but can definitely help prompt that payment and definitely get their attention as well. The next follow-up method is phone calls.
Sorry, Charlotte.
Yeah.
Sorry, Charlotte. We actually just got a question in the chat. Does that work in the States or just the UK? Letters, I believe they're referring to.
Oh, sure. We can also send letters in the States as well. So yeah, you will be fully supported.
I think as well, it might be good to mention that we handle as well, like the full like packaging process, everything. Like you don't have to do anything. It's as if you're sending an email, really, and we handle all the little manual tasks in the background.
Yeah, good point, Dean. So from a Chaser perspective, you'll let us know what you want the template to say. We'll include placeholders. So if you want to reference like the invoice number or the customer's name, you can include all that in there. You'll upload your logo and your addresses will come from your business central account, and then you'll just choose like how many days overdue do you want this letter to be sent, and Chaser handles everything from that point. But yes, thank you for the question. We will support letters sent in the US as well. Next is phone calls. So obviously, again, in the chat, this one did come up, and it's a good way of reminding people that they owe some money for an invoice. So in terms of payment reminders and phone calls, it kind of is, I guess, a little bit of an obvious one. And I think, but actually what we found from our research, we did a late payment report research project last year, and actually around 40% of businesses don't actually make phone calls at all, which is quite an interesting stat. We also found from our kind of user research as well that often people put off the phone calls, firstly because it's quite uncomfortable to have to phone someone and ask them for money. And it's also time consuming. So we do have some solutions to help with these with these problems. So firstly, something you can do right away is just check out the QR code on the screen here. We are giving you a lot of free resources during this presentation, so please make the most of everything that we're sharing. Everything will help you with your processes. But this one here is 10 phone call scripts that can cover any kind of conversation around a payment follow-up. So take that QR code and scan it. In terms of your Business Central account, you can use the contact card data to point you in the right direction of the person to contact. Secondly, based on the feedback that we've had from businesses around the world, kind of those types of people that find that the phone calls are quite painful and time consuming, we actually released the ability to automate payment reminder phone calls to your debtors. And this functionality is called Auto Call. So this uses text-to-speech technology and pulls in all of the personalized data from your Business Central account so that you can send debtors automatic personalized phone calls and voicemails at the times and dates that you choose. So very similar to how I explained the letters, apart from with this one, you're writing a script for the text-to-speech to read out to your debtor, and then that will be delivered automatically without you needing to get involved or do anything. And again, a really good way of getting their attention and just prompting that payment. So with this feature in particular, I mentioned earlier it was 7 days for SMS, but we've seen the average time to get paid reduced by 20 days in these situations where people are using the auto calls. So these two methods are really good independently and also combined as well. So you can actually test this out for free, and everything that I've mentioned about Chaser, we do have a 10-day free trial, and that's available on our website, so chaserhq.com. So I would recommend, if you like what you've heard so far, pop over to the Chaser website and take a look and take out a free trial. In terms of the next section, so yeah. So in terms of, I guess what we always say to our customers is, if you are really serious about reducing late payments, we would say that sending email reminders is not enough. And you know, even just making the odd phone call won't cut it. So if you want to protect your revenue and bring in revenue on time, we'd also always recommend using a combination of email reminders, postal reminders, SMS, and ensure that you're also following up over the phone as well where it's needed. So by adding an SMS, an auto call into your process, you can obviously have those results of getting paid around 27 days faster on average. And just imagine what your business could do if you were bringing in your revenue those 27 days faster. And I'll hand over to Dean now for the 5th strategy.
Great, thank you, Charlotte. So the 5th strategy is doing your due diligence on integrated systems. So Business Central provides you with the opportunity to integrate with many different systems to help you supercharge your business goals and accounts receivables process. But before taking action to tackle your late payments using a third party, we do recommend and ensure that you are doing the following, that you're looking at the following. So the first one is security. So generally, if you are using Business Central, you likely have an IT team responsible for checking third-party security policies. But just some top-level questions that you can ask is, does a company have a privacy policy? Does the third-party provider have a privacy policy? So this is before it gets to that stage. What kind of data do they store and pull from Business Central? Is that data encrypted? Do they enforce two-factor authentication to make sure that all your users are protected? And these are just like a couple of industry standard requirements to keep an eye out for. As mentioned, though, if you have an IT team, they will likely want to have some form of security questionnaire filled out before proceeding with a third-party provider. Chaser, for example, has SOC 2 security verification, which means that we do security audits annually, and we generally have any necessary documentation and certifications available on request to meet any security requirements. If you are looking for a third-party integration with Business Central to support you, one of the main things that I would recommend when finding the right solution is to make sure that the provider has a direct integration with Business Central and that they're not using some form of a middleman tool to retrieve data. It's important to just simply ask that question: do you have a direct integration with Business Central? The provider should be able to answer that yes or no. So these, and the two reasons why I advise this is, number one is support turnaround time on any issues is going to be significantly faster if the third-party provider has direct control of that connection between their application and Business Central. This means that they don't have to open a third-party line of support themselves. And then the next one is knowledge. In most cases, a direct integration provider will likely have way more deeper exposure and understanding of how accountants use Business Central and have a better understanding of the various data points, ensuring that your accounts balance correctly, that all the data is there. Strategy 6 is don't be afraid to use debt collections. Did you know that businesses write off an average of 10% of their revenue as bad debt? So we're sacrificing revenue every year due to this buildup of late payments. Accepting this as part of business as usual can actually reduce your business's profitability, mess with your cash flow, and then your ability to reinvest and grow in your business. But despite all of this, many businesses are still hesitant to use debt collections for bad debts due to fears about damaging their customers' relationships or their reputation. With a reliable and reputable supplier, you don't have to choose between cash flow and customer relationships. Collection services like Chaser Collections can champion a friendly collections approach and work towards agreeable solutions for both you and your debtors. You can track every interaction with your debtor in the Chaser software, so you have peace of mind that everything is being handled amicably. With Chaser Collections, all collections are a no-win, no-fee, so there's absolutely no risk. And you can see exactly what you need to pay if Chaser Collections is successful in recovering your debt before you choose to send the invoice to the collections to Chaser. Sorry. Tongue twister. But at least that gives you some comfort in knowing you're not going to have any hidden fees, and you can make a decision pretty quickly. And you can also see the fact that it's a win-win situation. So definitely advise looking into that. It's our mission at Chaser to ensure that businesses get paid for their work. So we've built the service specifically to allow you to recover what you're owed, whilst eliminating any of the common worries you might have about debt collections. So you can find out more about this at chaserhq.com/collections. I can see it's on the screen now. Back to you, Charlotte.
Thanks, Dean. So next strategy is around AI and automation and bringing that into your receivables process. So you can help reduce late payments and save time by automating accounts receivable with Chaser, an end-to-end solution that integrates seamlessly with Dynamics Business Central. With Chaser, you can automate your payment reminders, debtor phone calls, mailed letters, and all of these can be tailored for each of your customers. We have real-time syncing built in with Business Central, so that ensures you're always working with the latest payment data and also eliminates manual work and lets you focus on growing your business. Chaser users have reduced the average payment times by 20+ days and saved hundreds of hours annually. Some of our key features include debtor tracking, so you'll automatically get a clear view of all of your debtors, their invoices, key details and events, and all of the communication is tracked automatically within your account. So when you look at a customer or an invoice in Chaser, you get a full log of all of the communications, any internal notes, everything that has happened with your customer related to their invoices. We also have our AI payment predictors. So these will help you spot late payment risks, poor payers, and cash in projections. So it allows you to be proactive and act early, so taking those preventative methods. Next, we also have, I mentioned this very briefly earlier, but we do also have a customer payment portal. So this is ensuring that your customers have access to an online portal where they can view their invoices and also make a payment via a range of options. We then also have multi-channel chasing. So as I mentioned earlier, you can automate emails, texts, calls, and letter follow-ups within Chaser.
So Chaser has built its receivables functionality alongside Dynamics users to ensure that you're always working in the most efficient way. So most other providers of receivables tools for Business Central users only pull through document data, so sales invoices, sales credit memos, and payments. However, Chaser actually pulls in data directly from your customer ledger entry line items. So this ensures that you're not chasing your customers for wrong balances and amounts. And this will obviously include things like invoice journal entries, credit memo entries, your different credit lines that don't necessarily even have a type. But this is often helpful for many companies who use third-party systems, which post debit and credit amounts directly to the general journal in Business Central. So Chaser also includes other journal entries such as reversals, blank type credit and debit amounts, as long as they have been applied to an invoice or payment or credit memo. So ultimately, Chaser is designed to ensure that your customers will only see what is relevant to them and eliminate the mistakes and confusion in your process. We take care of all of the tricky business to ensure that you get paid on time, and we minimize the manual amount of work required to generate statements as well. So there's a lot to see in Chaser. So if you would like to learn more about how it can help you eliminate late payments, save time, and protect your customer relationships, like some of the examples we have on screen, we recommend booking in a full walkthrough with our team, or trying it free for yourself by using Chaser's free trial. As you can see from the examples, implementing this technology can have impacts on your day sales outstanding, your efficiency, and how much bad debt you're writing off. This can seriously improve your business's bottom line.
Cool. So in summary, the 7 strategies that we went through today to implement to minimize late payments are, first of all, using the carrot and stick. So this is to encourage good payment behavior and dissuade debtors from paying late in Business Central. Onboard customers effectively and use credit limit and business card functionality within Business Central to help you do so. Also be proactive and persistent and use payment reminder scheduling functionality to help you do this. We always recommend using multiple follow-up methods like SMS, phone call, postal letters to help your businesses get paid a lot faster, up to 27 days. Also doing your due diligence when investigating add-ons to support you. Don't be afraid of debt collections because they can definitely help you reduce those bad debts. And also introduce AI and automation within your process. If you like what you've heard about Chaser and you're ready to try out some automation and AI to reduce late payments in your business, scan the QR code and then you can, as Dean said, try out Chaser for free for 10 days. You can actually, within that trial, you can connect your Business Central account so you can see how the data pulls in, how it looks, and even start sending some reminders within those 10 days as well. So we'll now move on to a Q&A session. So if you have any questions, please pop them in the chat and we'll get to those. Anything that you'd like to talk about, anything around accounts receivable in general, any current issues you're experiencing we'd love to hear about, or just any general questions around Chaser software or any of the content in this session today. Dean, have you got any in so far from throughout the session?
Just having a look to see. Nothing yet.
Cool.
I do have. There you go. Yeah, I do have one here. So, how long is the setup process? Assuming talking about the connection between Chaser and Microsoft Dynamics, I can answer that one. So really, it's super simple. After you've signed up for your free trial, it will you select Microsoft Dynamics and it will automatically then take you to Microsoft Dynamics and allow you to select which organization within your setup you would like to connect to. And obviously, once you've selected that, it would just be a case of bringing the data across. So it should be really quick to get it into Chaser.
Brilliant. Thanks, Dean. Any other questions in the chat?
No other questions so far.
Cool. What I'll probably do then, I mentioned obviously in that last section, I mentioned about some AI tools, and I can give a little bit more context into what some of those are. So in Chaser, we have payer ratings. So this is actually looking at a measure of how quickly your debtors pay you, and it categorizes them into whether they're a good, a bad, or a medium payer. So a lot of our customers will use this to first just assess their risk as a business and to understand, you know, how many customers have I got that are really paying me late? Who are my worst debtors? Who are the ones that I might want to focus on a little bit more, and maybe try and implement some of those additional methods like phoning them or just trying to really get hold of them about their invoices. And generally, some people also use this as well to personalize how they reach out to customers. So in Chaser, you have different schedules, so you can group your customers into different schedules and have different communications, different templates and tones of voice, depending on who you're talking with. So some people will actually break their customers into good, medium, and bad payers and actually chase them differently. So they might actually chase their bad payers more frequently. They might have different tones within those emails and SMSs. They might start using letters earlier, and they'll just kind of use this data to adapt their process to make sure that they're dealing with customers in the best way. We also have the late payment predictor. This can be really useful, especially if you have high value invoices, because what this is going to tell you is before the invoice is late, it's going to give you an indication of whether the invoice will be paid on time. So again, it's just around being proactive and seeing things before they happen, and just being able to take the action. The revenue forecast in Chaser takes all of the information from previous payments, previous interactions from your debtors, and it will actually forecast what money you're going to have coming in. So you can see in the future, like so like month on month, how much money is going to be coming in based on previous payment behavior. Cool. Did anything else come in the chat there, Dean, while I was talking?
Yeah, we have another question. Amaya is very busy on the chat. She's also asked, could I use the app for clients in Latin America? Some of ours are in Colombia and Mexico, and our account managers work with them in Spanish only. Great question. Thanks, Amaya. The answer to that is yes. You can use Chaser just about anywhere in the world. It would just be a case of providing those customer details. Obviously, if you're planning on doing auto calls, you would just need to make sure that you include your country codes and your phone numbers. When you add them in Business Central, that data would sync across to Chaser, and we would be able to take it from there. We have partners and providers for things like letters. Yeah, nothing stopping you from chasing clients in Latin America. We also have currency options to make sure that we're bringing through the correct currencies on your invoices, your statements, etc. So yeah.
Brilliant.
No problem with that. We can do it.
I'll just add to that one as well. So we actually we've always had debt collections in the app, and we made it international recently, 2 weeks ago. So that's also available internationally. So you will also be supported by Chaser in terms of chasing those kind of bad debts in the collections phase as well. So that was a good release and really good news.
I think as well, off the back of that question as well, as another common question is, can we obviously chase in different languages? And well, the answer to that is pretty straightforward. You know, you create templates inside of Chaser. Those templates can be created in any language, and you can then assign those to a Spanish schedule, English schedule, any language you may choose. And obviously then those Spanish customers or English customers would go into those different schedules, and you would make sure then that they're getting the correct templates, the correct language being sent to them, whether it be letters, SMS, or emails.
Yeah, good point, Dean. Yeah, we definitely have we have some customers that are they have all of their customers around the world, so they'll have different schedules for different customers in the language that they would normally communicate with. So that all works really, really nicely in Chaser. We'll give it a minute or two, Dean, to see if we get any other questions in the chat. So yeah, if anyone has any kind of final burning questions, please pop them in the chat. We'll answer those, and if not, we'll close off the webinar.
Yeah, and I guess if anyone wants us to go back to any of the resources, please feel free to pop a message in the chat and let us know which one you want us to go back to so you can scan that QR code.
Cool.
May have been moving a little bit fast through those, but yeah.
I think
to go back if needed.
That's what we do, Dean. We talk fast, don't we?
Yep.
Cool. Anything more come through in the chat, Dean?
Well, I see Kevin is typing. But perfect, great. Kevin just said, no more questions. Thank you for your time. No, it's a pleasure, Kevin, and please reach out to our team if you do need any other assistance or you need to find out more.
Yeah, brilliant.
Thank you for joining thank you everyone for joining the webinar.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Enjoy your day, and if you have any questions, reach out to our team and we'll be happy to help. Have a great day. See you later.
Thanks everyone. Bye.